Great. So today I have a cushion to sit on, and of course a chair or something that's more comfortable for you to sit on is fine. If you have a yoga block, great. I'm going to get yoga blocks eventually. It's going to happen. Currently I just grabbed a growler for just something to hold on to. You'll want something about this general shape and size. It doesn't need to be a growler, just something about these dimensions, preferably not very heavy, because we will use it to do a little bit of strength building stuff, and I don't want it to be too intense unless you're feeling super fiery today, and you know that that's okay for you. Speaking of a little bit fiery, I have been doing a new continuing education program, and the talks are they're based on finding this advancement in a gentle practice, which I think is going to be really cool because, of course, my practice has become a lot more gentle and slower, at least, than where I originally came from, which was very like power yoga, like slams through everything. And that's where this teacher is coming from too, is moving from this like wild, intense power practice where he's like, yeah, I was like into yoga all the time, and I was doing like pressed handstands, and I thought I was so cool because I was always like the one that the teacher would call on to like demonstrate really wild stuff, and now he teaches a very different flow, and he says part of what has brought me to this shift in what I do is that I was doing all of these really crazy poses and this really advanced stuff, and I did not feel like it was helping to nourish me. I still felt all of this anxiety and disconnect in my life, and I was worried that yoga maybe really doesn't work. Like maybe I'm really not doing the right things and healing what I want to have healed. Because I think a lot of people, we come to yoga because we know that there's something that we need to nourish or fix or develop or improve upon, at least. And so he said, what I ended up doing was I went to India and I found a teacher, and the teacher has me come in and he's like, can you do this pose? And I was like, yeah, I do the pose, like this really crazy advanced version. And I think that I'm so cool about it. And then he asked me, how do you feel? And so he said, I would tell the teacher, you know, some really intense, like brainy kind of answer about, you know, muscular stuff. And then one day, after many, many days of saying, okay, do the pose, do this movement, how do you feel? And I would give all of these really crazy answers, and I felt like nothing was changing, and the teacher wasn't hearing me, or maybe the teacher was a fake. The guy goes in and he says, the teacher says, how do you feel? And the guy's like, I don't know. And he blows up. I'm like, I don't know how I feel. And the teacher finally smiles and he says, ah, yes, okay, well, now we can begin. Because now you are able to recognize that you don't really know how you feel. Like fancy, crazy words and yada, 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 and trying to describe it all away isn't helping you really connect to this experience. So we're going to do some fairly long-held poses today, and it is going to be fairly strength building. We'll open up some hip stuff towards the end, but not strength building because it's going to be necessarily super hard, strength building because we're going to have to stay in these places in order to be able to feel this experience a little bit more and to be able to continue to develop this connection with ourselves. Not so that we get really good at doing the poses, but so that we get really good at connecting and finding this deep union and this deep yoga in our practice. So take your index finger and your thumb together and the squishy spot at the bottom of your thumb. You'll bring that to the center of your forehead and smooth outwards towards the temples. And then beginning at the sides of the nose, going out to the temples, along your cheekbones. And from the temples down to your chin, along the jawline. From the sides of your nose down to your chin, along the laugh lines. And then resting your hands down in your lap, give yourself a couple of wiggles around in your shoulders to make sure that you're not holding tension there. And then let the shoulder blades drip down the back as your heart and the backs of your ears lift up, and perhaps you close your eyes for a few moments while you connect with your breath. Part of tapa is the continuous application of pressure and force and action, is that we have to show up for the things that we are doing. We have to actually dig in and be present, not simply go through the motions. We say chop wood, carry water. You don't walk into the woods, fling an axe out, pick up a bucket, and hope you come back with water. We have to actually do specific things and make effort and have intention about what we are doing in order for it to be useful. We need to show up. Wherever we're going, whatever we believe, we need to show up and keep moving to get there. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Big exhale through the mouth. Again, like that. For 3 ohms. And if you're seated on a chair or with your legs out in front, or maybe you're sitting back against a wall, you can hang out where you're at. If your legs are crossed, though, try to cross them the other way just for a moment, which is the weird way, and we're just going to try to balance the hips a little bit. Bring your hands somewhere that's comfortable to you. Let your heart float upwards. Soften your chin down just a fraction of an inch. And then let your right ear go over towards your right shoulder. As you take the ear over, make sure that your head's not falling back and that your ribs aren't lifting up. You want to soften the ribs in just a little bit. Not rounding, just a little bit. Finish your exhale. And then take your head up and relax your left ear over towards your left shoulder. Your ribs are settling in ever so slightly. Your chin is softening downwards. One more breath in. And one more breath out. And then lifting your head up and taking your right hand out to the right side. Reach your left arm up and over and get a stretch as you soften your rib cage in ever so slightly to allow the back of the shoulder to release. Stay here 2 more breaths. You could always bend your elbow maybe and let it rest on the head if that's too strong in your arm. Next exhale. And then lifting up, taking your left hand over to the left side, reaching your right arm up and over, and then notice the change behind your shoulder blade as you gently soften those ribs in. Very small shift. Long back of the neck. Breathing in. Breathing out. And then lifting up. We're going to switch the cross of the legs if they're crossed, going back to the other side. Have to have crossed legs. You can have your feet together, and you can have your legs extended out in front of you. I'm going to take the arms up, and then feel the low ribs soften in just a little bit. So not rounding, Our spines are still long, but then we're able to maybe reach up through the backs of the arms a little bit more. Take one more breath in like this. As you exhale, pull your elbows out to the sides and spread your fingers out. Just try to get your elbows reaching out and your fingertips as lively as possible. If it feels okay in your shoulders, you might try to bring the elbows forward and the hands back. So it's a little rotation of those arms back. If that's not working for you, you do not need to bend it backwards. Take a breath in, breath out. One more breath in. And exhale, relax your arms down, give a little wiggle into your shoulders. And then take your right hand over towards your left knee and reach your left arm up and over. Soften those ribs in again to get that shoulder blade stretch, but we're not folding in. I'm side bending with a bit of a twist. 2 more breaths. Make sure the left hip is rooted down. Breathing out. And then coming up. Sliding the left hand over towards the right knee, and then the right arm comes up and over as the right hip drops down and the ribs gently settle inwards. Wonderful. I'm used to being able to see you all and saying like, oh, that looks great, that looks cool, try this. I happen to be able to see Rhonda right now, and whatever you're doing right now, Rhonda looks really steady. That's nice. One more breath in. One more breath out. And then drawing your belly in, go ahead and lift up. When I unwind the legs, go ahead and take your cushion, your pillow, go ahead and set that off to your side. I'm going to take the feet out in front. I'm going to show from the side so that you can see the lift of my heart coming up onto my fingertips. My tailbone faces down, my elbows face back. I'm just going to push the fingertips down and feel the heart lifting up and forward. If I draw the belly up towards my heart, I might get a little bit more lift, get a little bit stronger spine. The gaze goes out in front of me. And keep feeling those elbows wrap back. This should be a pretty big stretch to the fronts of the arms, especially at this early stage. Take a breath in. Soften as you breathe out. And then take your hands and plant them down. Now, if your wrists shouldn't have any weight being on them right now, then you're going to come back to those fingertips and do the same thing again. If you do have the hands down, the fingertips still face forward, the elbows still wrap back, you're going to keep the hips on the ground. Don't lift them up, but push down into your feet and down into your hands. My feet are a little far away for me to really feel that. Yeah, having the feet firmly planted down like that, I can feel the undersides of my legs. I'm going to feel the still stretchiness in the fronts of my arms and having a little bit of strength going on there. One more breath in. And then breathing out. Relax. Take your hands up. Make circles with your wrists. Both directions. And curl your fingers down to your wrists and spread the hands out, and curl the fingers to the wrists and spread the hands out, and curl the fingers in and open. Do that one more time. And shake them. And then bring your hands back behind you again. So we were on fingertips. You could be on fingertips still. You can keep your hips on the ground, or we can move up into altar pose and stay there for 2 really slow breaths. So there it is, an inhale. Exhale. Elbows face behind and elbows can be bent. One more inhale. Exhale. And then release your hips down. Take your hands, shake them out a little bit. And then we're going to come down onto our backs. You want to make sure that you can reach your arms all the way behind you. So I'm going to have to scooch my hips forward a little bit more here than I might usually. And I've got my object, whatever my object is somewhere I can grab it. So it's nice and close to me, but I'm going to start off on the back. Go ahead and bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little snuggle in. And then release your feet down onto the floor. Take a moment to let your back settle into the floor, that you let those spaces relax, and reach your arms out to your sides. I'm going to try to go for a T shape, but if your shoulders would like you to leave those arms a little bit lower, that's fine. Just leave your palms up. Maybe the elbows are a bit bent. And push the feet down. Leave your hips on the mat. Don't worry about lifting hips up. Just push the feet down. Notice if you're putting more weight into the pinky toe edge or the big toe edge, if you can try to keep the whole sole of the foot connected, and what does that feel like, and what parts of it are maybe a little bit weird or not quite as intuitive for your body to follow. If you can, keep pushing down into the feet, the hips stay where they are, they don't lift up, and then start pushing the backs of your arms down. I've been working with this a bit lately, and I've been noticing that if I can get my shoulders down, sometimes my elbows get a little bit lighter, and if I can get my elbows down, sometimes my shoulders feel a little bit lighter. And it takes a lot of negotiation with my body parts to get all of them pressing down. Just notice where it seems to be a little bit easier or better feeling in your body. It's fine if you don't get all of the parts pressing down evenly just at this moment. Take another breath in. And breathe out. Go ahead and relax your shoulders and your feet for a moment. Take both of your knees and roll them over towards the right side. Go ahead and slide your knees up towards each other if that's a twist that feels good to you. You could bring the knees in much closer or leave yourself much more open if that feels better. So find a good place to put your legs where you feel like you have a nice twist. We're going to soften the belly in with every exhale. And try to have the only effort here be in the back of the right arm so that you can open your left shoulder and the twist open in your left ribs just a bit more. 2 more breaths. Finish your exhale. And then drawing the legs in and sending them over towards the other side. Could be in close to you or a little bit further away, just finding that steady, even twist. It's much the same as on the other side. And letting the effort be in the left arm, pressing down into the floor. Taking a breath in, softening the belly as you breathe out. 2 more rounds of breath. Then releasing that shape, coming back into the middle, setting the soles of your feet down on the floor, wiggling your shoulders out and coming into center. So if you've got your object nearby, just go ahead and grab that. I'm going to hold it up above your head. I'm holding the long side, so my arms are a little bit further apart. That feels a little bit better in my shoulders. Just so like that. My palms face each other, feet are on the floor. I'm going to leave my hips on the floor, push the feet down, and push my hands into my object. So if it's a squishy object, you might get a little bit of squish happening. If it's not a squishy object, you just have this continuous pressure. Be mindful of where your elbows are pointing. If they're starting to flare out, you want them to face down towards your thighs instead. Another breath in, and another breath out. And then start to reach your object back behind you. And you don't want it to come to the ground. You want it to definitely be off of the ground so that you can reach it back. And so that you can be sure that your elbows point upwards. Take a breath in. And then exhale, bring that object back above your face. And do that 2 more times. Just a breath in to reach the object back. And exhale, bringing it up. Inhale, stretch it back. Exhale, taking it up. Go ahead and relax your arms for a moment. I just dropped my elbows and set this on my chest. We're going to take one more round of those reaching back, taking a little bit more core strength into it. This time, instead of having the feet on the floor, I'm going to take the feet up. My shins are parallel to the ceiling. My feet are active, even though they don't actually have anything to press into, and the belly wraps down into the spine. Take your item, your block, your whatever have you, above your face. Press your hands into it. Elbows face to your thighs. Breathe out. And then inhale. Reach the object back, elbows face the sky. Exhale, bring it back up above your face. Do that 3 more times. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, reach it back. Exhale above your face. Last one. Exhale. Release your feet. Set your item off to the side. And then bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little rock around, massaging your back, maybe making some circles in your knees. Making sure that you go in both directions if that was your path. And then bringing the knees a little bit wider and coming into happy baby. So you're going to reach up to hold on to your shins or your ankles, or maybe reaching the insides of your legs to hold the outsides of your feet. You can rock around a little bit if that feels nice. One more breath in. Let the breath out. And then release your feet. Roll over onto your side, and then come over onto your belly in Sphinx Pose with your elbows down right underneath your shoulders. And it got dark in here again, but my elbows are right underneath my shoulders. They're not back where I have to try too hard. They're simply stacked, resting on the forearms. Spread your fingers out. Press the fingers down and feel that pressure in your arms, letting your heart rise up and forward. If you need to wiggle your legs out, maybe widen your legs to support the lower back, you'll do that. Keep pushing down in the forearms and stretching your collarbones out wide to the sides. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. One more breath in. And then rest on down. Widen your elbows. Rest your head. A cheek or a forehead is fine. Maybe you wiggle your hips around a little bit side to side. And then bring your hands a little bit wider than your shoulders, but mostly in line with your shoulders. You could even come onto fingertips. Wiggle your elbows around a little bit, giving yourself more space. And then reaching the toes down into the ground, you're going to reach the heart up and forward. My elbows are out and back. I'm trying to roll my shoulders back. Just another breath in. And then exhale, soften down. This time, bring your hands in much closer. So you're going to take them in by your low ribs, just behind your shoulders. Wrap those elbows back. And don't worry about how high you get. Send the heart forward into Cobra Pose. Deep breath in. Exhale, lower it down. We're going to take 2 more, just breathing. Maybe you take the hands up as you inhale into Cobra Pose. Exhale, lower. One more time. Inhaling, Cobra Pose. Exhale, lower. And then push into your hands. Lift yourself up. Go ahead and move your hips around a little bit. And then start to come up to standing. We're just going to work our way through getting up. Go ahead and take your feet up. You use your hands on your body or bookshelves, what have you, near you. And come up to standing. Just bringing your feet right underneath your hips. Where am I? It's all dark. Okay, cool. Just can't wear pants. That's nice. Okay, so elbows, face, knees. Those are knees. Face forward. Great. So you've got your toes, your knees facing forward. And then reach your arms out to your sides. A little bend into your elbows is okay. Excuse me. And have your fingers spread out wide. And reach the arms out to the sides. Try to soften your ribs in just a little bit so that you can also lift up the fronts of your hips. One more breath like this. Big breath out. And then reach the arms up. If your shoulders are really tense, you could try holding onto your elbows. That's going to put a little bit less intensity on your arms, but still feel this reaching up through the backs of those shoulders. Yeah? I'm going to notice if my ribs have floated out and let them come in so that I can lift the front of the hips up. 2 more breaths. One more breath. Exhale. This time, bend the elbows out to your sides. My fingertips are spread out. I want to still lift the front of my hips, but if my heart starts to rise up here, that might be okay. I'm going to show from the side. I don't want to fall backwards. I'm going to lift up and forward. Maybe the hands start to float back behind the elbows, if that feels good. If it doesn't feel good, it's not necessary. It's just available to you as an option. Take a breath in. And then release the arms down. Bring down. Now take your right foot forward and then take your left foot back. Finding warrior 1. Just make sure that your right hip is going to stay in. Go ahead and take your hands to your hips. So you can take your fingers and like pew, 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 laser gun them forward and make sure they're all going out in front of you. And then you're going to keep the hands at the hips where the hips are in that place as you lean forward over your front leg. Now as you lean forward, make sure your hip's not coming out towards knee. You want to reach it towards your back foot. Knees and toes face all the same directions. Really stand strong on both feet, pressing them down, drawing the belly towards your spine. Last exhale. And then go ahead and lift yourself up and straighten the leg for a moment. And then bend down into it. No further forward than the ankle. Reach your arms up. And then we're going to find that cactus shape in the arms, pulling the elbows back. So I'm lifting the front of my hips, lifting the heart up to the front of my ribs, and letting my arms be super active. Trying to engage every muscle possible in the upper back and shoulders, arms, fingers. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. And then bring your hands back to your hips. You're going to take your back foot and sneak it up a little bit. And then see if you can step up into chair pose, this nice, not super deep chair pose. And then go ahead and stand up. And then take your right foot back, so you'll be in warrior 1. We'll have both hips just gently coming forward here. I'm going to pull the left hip towards my back foot and then lean forward. A little bit of a humble warrior variation here. Really trying to make sure that my balance is steady, so I'm making contact with the body because that often helps quite a bit. I want this to be strong in my leg. Yes, there's some stretching happening. Focusing on where our intention and our power is. Last breath out. Draw your belly in. Come all the way up. Go ahead and straighten the leg for a moment. And then go ahead and bend into it again. We're going to come into warrior 1. Hips and shoulders all face forward. And we change it by putting the cactus or field goal post arms in, drawing the elbows out and back. And then feel how many muscles can I turn on here. What can I use to really invigorate my arms in this wide open space? Deep breath in, deep breath out, and then release your arms up. Bring them forward, lean forward, hop your back foot in just a little bit, little scooches, so now you're a little bit more prepared. See if you can take a brief visit to chair pose, and then go ahead and stand up. And wiggle things out. We're gonna balance in balance in triangle pose. That would be weird. We're gonna balance in tree pose. All with the right words to say today, I guess. So if you've got something near you to hold on to, you're welcome to find that. I'm going to give it a long time in tree pose. So if you would rather not have to hold your foot off the floor, you could grab your object and put your foot on that object, and that might make this a little bit more steady for you. So I want to try still not to sit into this hip. I'm going to stand firm on the floor. Reach the knee away to lift the hips, and then maybe just one hand comes and I place it at my heart or open as a branch. Maybe both do, and this thing's just there in case I need it. I'm going to give you 3 more breaths. See if you can stay there for 3 more breaths, even if you wobble around and have to hold on to something. Let those ribs gently soften in. 1 more breath. And go ahead and take your foot up. Set it down, a little wiggle into the tightness that can sometimes come there, and then coming to the other side, you might put your foot. And I realize, especially in a dark room, having a see-through object gets kind of weird. Just make sure that the fronts of your hips are lifting, and we're allowing that by lengthening the knee away from the body. Maybe the hands are at the heart or open, or you're holding on to something. Just want to pat this spot. Okay. 3 more breaths. Doing great. 1 more. Exhale. And release. Take that foot, set it down. Let things out a little bit. We're going to come into horse stance. So I'm going to turn your knees and toes out. Now you'll notice my feet don't go out 180 degrees because my knees don't go out 180 degrees. So if your knees only go out there, then that's the same space that your feet go out to. And then you'll settle down. Make sure that your knees still aren't going over your ankles. You might need to scoot your feet out a little bit. Don't go to your maximum. Come someplace where you feel things. Open your arms. This is going to be a little bit better on the shoulders where I can still be active in my hands, which I want to focus on having the whole arm active without being too crazy at my shoulders. If you feel strong enough to be here, by all means. If you're starting to get tired, we're going to lower them down a little bit. Push into the pinky toe edges of your feet and relax your upper butt down. This will lengthen the spine and release the lower back. 2 more breaths. Feel those feet press down. Big breath in. Big breath out. And straighten the legs, relax your arms. You can give a wiggle. I'm going to mirror you coming into our last 2 standing shapes. I'm going to turn the right toes all the way over, turn your left toes in, bend the right leg and open into warrior 2. What can you press down to feel lighter? What feels heavier when you settle? When you give up energy? Maybe play with that. Play with the pressing and engaging, and then what happens when you disengage? What changes there? Big breath in. Big breath out. Go ahead and straighten the front leg. Take your left hand to your left hip. Reach your right arm up. Straight piece here. Lifting your heart up towards your hand, not falling backwards. Getting more open in the front. I'm just going to take a brief return to Warrior Two. Notice how this might have changed on this side of the waist. Go ahead and bend into your right leg and take the arms open. Just notice what you feel, if you feel anything. Big exhale. Release your arms. Take your legs. You're going to switch your feet over. Left toes all the way over, right toes turned in, left leg bent. So having the knee over the toe, and then open your arms. Take these few breaths to play with changing your weight a little bit in your feet, in your arms. Where's the intensity? Where's the intensity necessary versus where is it not serving you? 2 more breaths. Big exhale. And then straighten the front leg, right hand at the hip, and then the heart lifts up towards those left fingertips. And I'm not coming into a deep back bend. I'm trying to expand up and out. 1 more breath in. Brief visit into Warrior Two, just to notice how you feel on that side body. 1 more breath in. 1 more breath out. And then go ahead and come on up. Release the arms. We're going to take the feet in a little bit wider, then our hips, toes face out just a little bit. Go ahead and come down. Just place your elbows on your thighs and push your hips back. I've got my palms open here. You could bring your hands together. I think that's kind of crunching my shoulders in. Just got my arms down here. And then what I want is the contact of my arms on my legs. Pushing my heart away from my hips. Last little bit of heat building in these legs. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then go ahead and take yourself down into a seat. When you get there, grab your pillow, your cushion, go ahead and sit up on it. And take your right leg out to the right and bring your left leg in. Or just have that, if your legs don't want to bend in and rotate, you could just have them both open. Either's really quite okay. I find that we get a little bit, maybe more oomph into the one leg when we're focusing on it. Do whatever works for you. Got my right toes. You've got your right toes lifted up here. Walk the right fingertips out. And then take the left arm up and over. And focus now on what's happening in the hips. I've done a lot of shoulder opening and side body opening. Just being aware of what's going on down in your hips. Trying to release that left hip down. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then go ahead and lift yourself back up. We're going to take a little twist over that bent leg. Breathing in. Relax your right hip down. Breathe out. And then unwind a bit. I like to take my foot in nice and close when I come into this shape. What we're going to want to do here is open this foot out. If you need to straighten your leg, go ahead and straighten your leg. It does not need to be bent like this. Just want to go towards that leg a little bit. Just a little, not a lot. Whether it's bent or not. The leg you were not bending over before. Breathing in. Breathing out. And come on up. And then we'll start to switch legs. So they will either both be open, or the left one will be open and the right one will be in. I'm going to take the left hand over and reach the right arm over. Just find that place where the shoulder blade softens forward, and we're releasing down into the right hip, being focused on the hips in this shape. One more breath in. One more breath out. And lifting up, taking a little twist over the bent leg. Noticing that sometimes the left hip will want to follow. Want to rest that left hip down. One more exhale. And then releasing your twist. You're going to take this, if the foot's in really close, just go ahead and give it a little bit more space away from you and go over towards this leg. It's not a long visit. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then come on up. And bring the soles of both feet towards each other or have the legs extended out in front of you. Hold on to your shins, your ankles, and lean your heart forward towards your feet. Think of your lower back, maybe getting a little bit softer, wider. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then come on up. We'll take a seated twist. Extend your left leg out and go ahead and fold your right leg over or leave the right foot down on the right side. My left toes lifted, you can see them down there. I'm gonna hold onto this leg. Draw the right hand in really close to my back. Lift up as I breathe in. And then spiral around the rib cage as I breathe out. Notice what's happening in the hips as you twist. Right into those hip joints. One more breath in. One more breath out. Softly release the twist. Unwind your right leg. And slide the left one up and over to take this seated twist. So I'm going to hug onto this leg so that I can use that to spiral me open. The left arm's in nice and close. The heart lifts and the belly softens with every exhale to allow the twist. 3 more breaths. One more breath in. One more breath out. Softly release your twist. Go ahead and unwind your legs. And then coming down onto your back. Go ahead and set your cushion off to the side. And come in. Soles of the feet on the ground, heels in nice and close to your hips. Bring your shoulder blades a little bit closer on your back so you have a little bit of a wiggle to bring your heart a little bit more open and your palms pressing down. And then start to lift your hips up a little bit. Notice what parts of your feet you're using. If you need to move your feet a little bit away from you, that's okay. Now push a little bit more. See if you can wiggle your shoulders in more and come into bridge pose. And since we're going to be here for a couple of breaths, you might hold your fingertips at your hips. So you're going to think about what parts of your feet you're using. Sometimes those big toe edges will roll up. Try to keep them down. Knees face forward. Inner thigh muscles draw up into the pelvis. One more breath in. Take your time, slowly releasing the shoulders, the spine, the hips down onto the mat. If you feel like it's more helpful to you to hold hands underneath your back and make that clasp, you can do so. You could also, once again, take the hands to the hips. I'm going to show the clasp this time. We're going to go up once more into bridge pose. Wiggle those shoulders underneath. Push into both feet. Make sure your knees aren't coming open, that your big toes aren't coming up. And lengthening and opening the front side of the body by lengthening and activating the back side of the body. One more breath in. Softly release your shoulders, your hands, your spine, your hips, all the way down onto the mat. Step your feet out a little bit wider and let your knees fall against each other. Just noticing how you feel. Start to scooch your feet back in a little bit so your knees face up. We're going to end with a really luscious hip opener. If your hips feel more open by just taking a knee in and maybe moving it around, and you could also extend that left leg if that works well. If having the leg in feels better to you than having the ankle on the knee, you can bring the leg in instead of putting your right foot on your left knee and then drawing both legs in. So this is a nice luscious hip opener to many bodies, and if different bodies need something different, I want you to just find something that feels really, really nice in your hips. Trying to make sure that we are spacious in our root chakra, finding this grounded, open, steady space so that we can move through the days to come, the week to come. From this steady, rooted place. One more breath in. One more breath out. And then slowly release your hands. Put the left foot on the ground. Put the right foot on the ground. And give a little wiggle of your hips on the ground before finding the other side. Whatever you've done, so you're either going to bring that left leg in or you can cross the ankle over. The left arm comes in between the legs to hold onto the right thigh. And maybe even just being down here like this without taking the leg up, that's fine too. Just settling into your breath. Whatever shape you've chosen, notice the sensations that come up. Showing up for yourself and for this experience, even when it's maybe not quite so intense or not quite so strong, because it's still worth being here and being present for. One more breath. Start releasing your legs from whatever shape they're in. Bring the soles of the feet down. Go ahead and open your arms just enough that they're comfortably apart from your body. Take a leisurely roll of your knees from side to side. You can take a little bit of a longer pause if it really calls to you. Just kind of lazily moving the legs from side to side to get a little twisting to wrap us up. Go ahead and go one more time each side. It's fine if you're done sooner or later than I am. And then when you do come back to the center, just find your feet settled down, bring your hands back onto your body. And if there's anything else that you need before finding Shavasana, you're welcome to go there. You can put your feet up on the couch or slide a cushion underneath your legs perhaps. Maybe you'd like to keep your knees bent. Maybe you just slide those legs out. Finding your final resting shape. You're welcome to take a seated meditation or pop up in a chair instead. Settling into this very well-deserved rest. When we are comfortable, we are not particularly inspired to make changes. We would like to remain comfortable. When we are uncomfortable, that's when change happens. That's when growth happens. And hopefully without pain. We want to definitely avoid that for many reasons, but the discomfort is a necessary ingredient of change. And we are willing to invest in this practice of getting uncomfortable, of making changes for ourselves and deepening our practice, then we are kind of making this investment that can serve us in the times we need to make changes off of the mat as well. And then roll over onto your side. Take your time coming up to a comfortable seat. You've got lots of time, no rush at all. Be nice and easy with yourself. And when you do happen to arrive, just bringing your hands together at your heart. I'm wearing the Ganesh shirts, and Ganesh is the mover of obstacles. He's also the placer of obstacles because sometimes we need them in order to inspire that change and growth. And we chant to Ganesh, we are not chanting to something outside of us. It's not, the elephant in the sky. We are chanting to this element of the capacity for strength and removing obstacles that lies within us. You're welcome to follow along with me. I'm going to say 3 times the chant to Ganesh, and then we will breathe and we will Om. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Breathing in for Om. Bowing down to the love and light that resides within each of our hearts. Namaste.
Have a good week, April.
Thanks, Sylvia. Take care. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thanks, Judy.